My name is Jenny Olivia Johnson. I am currently an associate professor in the musicology department of the Herb Alpert School of Music, where I'm also the Dean for Inclusive Excellence, the Associate Dean for Inclusive Excellence. I'm also a composer, sound artist, and a maker. And in my musicology courses, I encourage making as a way of thinking about music. So this coming week, we are having a conference that I have been developing with the Center for Musical Humanities here at UCLA. And as part of this conference, we of course wanted to have talks and papers and scholars coming together, but we really also wanted the thing itself that we're talking about, artwork. We wanted to not only have performances, we have a concert on Thursday evening, which will be very exciting with some really fascinating and wonderful musicians who have either undergone trauma or are dealing with disability in some way. And what I'm doing is creating 2 sound installations with 2 beloved collaborators. The one I'm working on now is with my beloved colleague Daniela Rivera, an artist from Chile who now works in Massachusetts, teaches at Wellesley College. We started working together almost 10 years ago, and it's very exciting to work with somebody whose discipline is a different medium in art, and yet they have such a strong relationship. We like to talk about the reciprocalities between sound and art, visual art, and we've been working with headphones for a long time. We started building what she calls sounding drawings, using headphones and wires to create this complex image that also sounds. And we're trying to discover, again, reciprocalities between the sounds that I'm driving into the speakers and the way that she's managing the cables to draw with lines. For this conference, I wanted to think about the composer Xenakis, who wrote beautiful, incredibly rich textured music using stochastic processes, using mathematics, but complex mathematics, chaotic maths, where you're in the middle of a huge field of sound and there's a lot of just complexity contributing to the totality, which is kind of like a cloud of sound. And so he talked a lot about the reason for his interest in this being related to a traumatic experience he had as a young student in Athens. He was in the middle of a demonstration, anti-fascist demonstration, and it got violent, and he lost his eye. He had a traumatic injury and lost his eye. And I discovered a journal entry or a note or a letter that he wrote to somebody about how all of his music can sort of be connected back to that traumatic experience, in which he was surrounded by this very, very complex noise of the crowd. And that became very interesting to him as a sort of textural quest in his music to kind of emulate just the chaos of the sound of many, many, many forces happening all at the same time. So a few years ago, actually, with Daniela, when we were at Wellesley, we were teaching about the Monte Young Barbie Dreamhouse in New York City. We actually took some students there, and it's this amazing installation. It's in somebody's apartment, and the apartment is empty except for, just flooring, like a carpet on the floor, and it's filled with pink light, mesmerizing pink light, and mesmerizing sine tones, just kind of constantly droning. And it's an incredible installation. And so Ashley and I were working on this Barbie piece, and I just made this joke about every time I look up the Dreamhouse on Google, Barbie Dreamhouse comes up instead of Monte Young. And we just roared laughing about that. And she's like, we should just build that. We should build the Monte Young Barbie Dreamhouse. And I thought, okay, actually, why don't we get a dream house and fill it with pink light, and the Barbies can have this amazing installative experience. And so we kind of ran with that idea, and at first it was just going to be kind of a joke. But as we started working on it, we realized we were both having a lot of responses to the domestic space that we were building. We were both having a lot of memories of childhood and what it was like to be in our home, and what is a dream home, and what is the role of home in a person's life story? Sometimes it's a place of comfort and oasis, but sometimes it's a place of trauma and traumatic memory. So we were sort of like, okay, it's going to be a haunted house. And we were working then with Jacques Derrida's idea of hauntology and the hauntological overtones of this house that's full of traces, full of memories. We have sensors in different places in the house where if you lift the toilet or you open the oven or open the closet or the fridge, you're going to hear a response to that. That's going to be a bit of a tear in the fabric to the real, if you will. It's going to kind of play with the idea that this is all window dressing, that a happy home is maybe just so on the surface, and there are secrets underneath. So when we first were building this, we were thinking this conference was going to take place in February, and the piece was just going to be about sort of domestic hauntology. But then the fires happened, and especially in Malibu and Pacific Palisades, and where I live in Santa Monica, I could see it happening. That disrupted the conference, of course, disrupted lots of people's lives, and it was a horrible trauma. But it also meant that we hadn't, sort of had to postpone the Barbie house until now. And it was inevitable that I think the fact that the dream house is supposed to be in Malibu, that fire would come in somehow. And so we're letting fire be there a little bit subtly. The pink light is indexical of the fire. Just the setting of Malibu, I think, for some people will automatically bring those memories up. We didn't want to be too on the nose about it. We just wanted to kind of respect that that's an overtone to the piece now too. A lot of my work incorporates different disciplinary techniques all at once, like this piece and like the Barbie Dreamhouse. And I just felt strongly that giving people the chance to immerse themselves in an artwork that was appealing to multiple senses at once, appealing to the body as well as just the ear, just the eye, was really, really important for this kind of conference, which is so focused on the sensorium and the sensorium's response to trauma and disability.